the huge part of being when you read a book or you watch a movie, there comes a creation which summons a not very pleasant aftertaste. I see a lot of negative book reviews, and I can't say that there aren't bad movies or books and that they shouldn't be discussed or they shouldn't be discussed coldly. But so right now I will tell you 3 things that stopped me from making bad book reviews and why I closed all my bad book reviews videos, like whole playlists, and why I made them private and why I will never return to it. 3 simple points, so this video will be separated on 3 parts. First thing is something I face every time I want to make a book review. I would want to make a book review. Is that I don't know for sure for who this book was written. I would have missed it if I wasn't writing a book of my own. And it actually matters a lot. Because there are readers who openly say that, for example, they don't care about world building, for example, what is important for me. They only care about the romance, some care only about the other type of content in the books. And if writer writes for these people, then simply I'm not the audience. I was not the person who was supposed to read the book. Second thing, maybe a bit more common, writing is subjective to the point that I cannot analyze it, I cannot give review on it, because there was a review and most of the time the reviewer complains about the writing, these staccato sentences. I also do not like staccato sentences, but I think they should be used wisely, just like in music. They cannot be every time there comes something tension, or where I would want to really dive into the feeling, into the dread, for example, and then there's this staccato sentences. It seems like I checked it out of the list, I mentioned it. So I do not like it, but there are moments when it works and I use it myself. But once again, I use it wisely, and when I feel like it should be here or it makes sense. Of course, majority of the book is still the writing voice, because we get the idea, everything from the narrator, and if it's insufferable, then of course reading till the end is impossible. And I think the third, the most important, usually people who criticize the most are usually the ones who don't create anything themselves. Let me tell you a story. I have been watching Hokum with my younger sister and my uncle last week. It was a good movie. I didn't manage to watch the majority of it. I was watching it like this. I didn't watch the scary scenes. I didn't even get to see the beast or whatever that was. But I got these ideas, what happened, because I was listening to it. Actually, it was good. And that was the impression we kind of got to bed. And later that evening, we were discussing it, and we found some plot holes, insignificant, but we found some. And we were kind of almost arguing about them. And then I don't remember whether my uncle said it or I had this idea, if we are being honest. But I remember that I was writing it, that there will be always flaws in the book, especially if the story or the world is complex. The more complex the story and the plot, the more risk of plot holes there is. Sometimes plot holes are insignificant and I can forgive them. For example, like in Hokum, they don't seem to be that significant, yet still some are. Well, of course, that's not the point. Of course, to not mind the plot holes, there should be something else to like the story about. Maybe characters, maybe the world itself. There will be some misses and flaws, and of course they're still human. They cannot see and foresee everything. And of course, the lesser the plot holes, the better it is, or some insignificant flaws, or flaws will be anyway. It doesn't only mean the plot, for example, characters or the world building. I mean it in every aspect. The writer, the director is also human. That stops me from making bad video reviews. Happens. I don't know how else to say it. I can't bring myself to make this kind of negative book reviews or movie reviews. I never thought about making movie reviews, but the book reviews definitely. And I was trying to make, maybe you know me longer, I was trying to make negative book reviews that they weren't meant to be negative, but they were negative. And I was trying to read this Once Upon a Broken Heart and The Ballad of Never After, and as you can put together, I didn't really like the book. Of course, I was trying to reason with it, and I faced all these three things I am telling you right now. I faced all of these three things, and that's why I closed it all off. I made this video private. First thing I was hitting with every chapter is that this book is not for me. Because as I see, BookTok is crazy about it. They like it, and I mean, good for them. I will not bring myself to finish it. I did not finish it. That's it. These 3 points, all it takes for me to... That's also why I cannot take book reviews as well. Because I was making such content, YouTube was advising some of these kind of videos. For example, that one was about alchemist. Some say alchemist, but it sounds really wrong, so I'll go with alchemist. And I watched some, and once again, while I watch it, first thing I see is that that person didn't want the complex world. I like the complex world. Once again, I get to see that, well, it's just not the book. Then second thing is actually the writing, because when I see people saying that writing is too complex or is too poetical, I like poetical kind of writing. So once again, writing is subjective and cannot be actually classified or criticized. And of course, the third thing is when, for example, someone says, for example, Harry Potter plot holes. There are 7 books. Of course, there is a chance that there will be plot holes. A chance that something won't fit. But there are other things that made this book great, and maybe these plot holes don't seem as significant for me as, for example, they are for my sibling and for my mom, for example. Once again, matter of taste. That's why I do not make any book reviews and why I don't watch any. Because I get hit with all these 3 points as I watch them and as I would want to make one. I cannot bring myself to make any book reviews right now. So that was a good test, and at some point I regret it and at some point I don't. So yes. That's all, folks.